Call the office at 572-0383 or 572-0215. Rev-Up St. Lucia, the alpha of radio.
It's now time for Unrestricted with Lotus. It's now time for Unrestricted, hosted by the lovely Lotus. Lotus, a very good morning to you.
Good morning, Andre. Good morning. Good morning to you, Andre. Good morning to everyone on listening on Facebook, on X, on YouTube, online, in Radio Land. Everybody, good morning and welcome back to another Unrestricted.
Well, it's a pleasure seeing you, Lotus, and
you too,
pleasure
Andre.
having you.
You too, Andre. We have a
Thank
nice thing. You know, when I reach here and I see your face, this morning I made you jump.
Yeah, but I was deep in thought.
Yeah, yes, I know.
Thought at the time.
So, Andre, this morning I think it's going to be a good show. I always think that Unrestricted, sometimes we have to take part in what's going on, and I have to do an unrestricted show because of the climate. You know, as you know, Unrestricted, we don't get involved in discussing politics nor religion. But I thought this was going to be interesting. This morning I want to talk about the power of your voice, the power of your vote, and the cost of your voice unheard. Right? Because, and it's non-partisan, it's for all of us. You know, as you know, there was a time when we could not vote, not just as St. Lucians, but as black people. You know, there was many things happened to cause us to come to this juncture. And I think that we need to discuss the impact of our vote and our voice and your choice, you understand? Because we live in a democracy, and I think it's important for us to exercise that franchise. So this morning I want to talk about that, the power of your voice. So the history of voting and elections, it dates back to ancient times, with Greece being the birthplace of the first form of democracy. However, the situation was very different back then, as voting was only accessible to men. Over the centuries, various groups have fought for greater voting rights and equality. So today, we know that voting is essential to our voice as employees, as clients, as suppliers, partners, and society in general. So we have different, things that we vote for. I mean, even as, councils and unions and just small groups, even little associations, we vote. And the reason why we vote is because we want to drive our own values, our own feelings, the things we want to see happen. We vote for that for this reason. So voting is indispensable for the health of our structures. So it's imperative. It's imperative. And some people will tell you, me, I don't want to vote. Even that decision not to vote is an exercising of your right as well. Yeah, because sometimes we want to get so upset with people who say they don't want to vote. But we're going to talk about the implications of you not voting and whether or not you have a right to come and discuss and shout and quarrel if some of us will go on the line and vote.
or quarrel those who don't vote.
Who don't vote, you understand? So we're going to look at all of that. So whether within a company, like I said, an association or a cooperative, every year more and more people of all ages unite their voices and vote on issues affecting their workplace, community, and your entire life. So an individual's vote is a powerful tool in politics, in any political elections, operating on both an individual and a collective level to shape policy, to hold officials accountable, and to determine the future of a community or nation. And I think over the years, what I've seen is that our vote is now holding a lot of our politicians accountable. I think I've seen a shift in terms of the accountability, because if you don't vote, you understand, people will feel they can do what they want. They can do what they want. They can, come and say what they want and behave anyway. Not to say they don't, but I think more and more we're seeing that our politicians, our leaders have to listen to the people, have to say, you know what, let me give them that opportunity to see what is being done, to hear what is being done, to hear what is being not being done, to get an explanation for something. And I think it's opening up more doors for accountability as we begin to vote and we become more enlightened, right? in terms of what's happening. I think a lot of us feel that we don't have a voice because we don't understand certain things. We feel that we are not experts in economics. We feel that we are not experts in neuroscience. We are not, But I think the other thing I want to mention is the power of common sense. We have to give ourselves credibility. We have to trust our own common sense and our own instincts. When we want to know something, when we want to understand something, when we want to listen to what's going on. And if you don't understand everything, I think it's an opportunity to call someone that you trust, that you believe in, that you know that, okay, they may be able to break it down for you. Because many times we act like we need a politician to explain certain things for us, or we need them to tell us things, or we need them to validate us. But we can do our own research. I mean, we're in a big age of information. So we can check things, we can calculate things, we can go and look at the statistics, history, we can get the information. I know a lot of us are driven by emotion. I mean, neuroscience says that we are driven by emotion, Andre, more than information. So that's why when some people sell things, if they understand the emotion that it's going to trigger, they sell better, as opposed to the strategy, right? So if they can come and play on your emotions and make you cry, or, they can come and cry whilst they talk. There are some people that cry whilst they're trying to campaign, big tears. And some people say that's crocodile tears. But even though it's crocodile tears, some of us are moved because we were moved by emotion. We're like, oh my gosh, he's crying. He must be honest, or he must really feel it. You know what I mean? So it drives us to feel and it can influence our decisions. You were saying something?
No, listen to you.
Yeah, so I want you to share the numbers early because I would like our listening audience to engage me. Let me know if you're going to vote. Let me know why you're going to vote. Now, don't tell me for who you're going to vote. It's not a political show. The premise is your voice. Are you going to vote? Why do you think your vote matters? And let's discuss that, the power of your voice. And we're going to go further into the cost, like I said, of your voice unheard. Because there is a cost when you don't say anything in exercising that power.
Okay, the fixed line, it's 572-9710. Fixed line, 572-9710, or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. And Lotus, you wouldn't believe this, but you have a call already?
I do. Wow. This is nice. Good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted. First caller.
Good morning, Miss Lotus.
Good morning.
And good morning, Apostle Paul.
Good morning, Brother Time.
Good morning.
It's Tame.
Oh, it's Tame. Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, Tame. All right, I got it.
T-A-M-E-H.
Yes.
So, very interesting topic.
Thank
I
you.
must say.
Thank you.
Especially around, this season. And I think we only have, 20 days or 20-something days.
That's right.
Before elections.
Yes.
Now, I might take a different approach to the whole idea of voting. Plato, came from the same place as democracy, right? And you know what he said about democracy? He said it leads to tyranny. Yes, okay? And we have to be very careful in what we, our systems of government, because like I've always told Brother Paul, or Apostle Paul, we have been handed down a governmental system. We didn't choose it. We didn't vote. We didn't have no kind of referendum or anything like that. But because of our colonial past, they basically gave us a government system. And that government system only serves, believe it or not, to divide us. Because now, right now, because of, the heating up and stuff, you can see the tribal lines being demarcated, right, Brother Paul? So we have a tribe of SLP and we have a tribe of UWP. Now, I liken that once, I'm not sure if it was on this radio station, a business. If you have a business, Lotus, and let's say you're a multi-millionaire like a Jeff Bezos or somebody, and you have a business, you have your board of directors, and basically they're the ones doing everything, all the work for you. would you divide your board against each other?
Of course
and say,
not.
well, okay, 6 or let's say half of them will be to do this and half of them, and they're working against each other.
Mhm.
Do you think that company, Lotus, that you have will succeed if you have
would not.
workers divided?
It would not, but I don't know if I agree with you comparing the two, because if you have a company, the objectives and the mission, the vision, it is one thing that the board follows. But when you talk about governmental systems, I mean, there are varying types of government, and even though we were able to choose our own form of government in terms of the democracy, when you speak of democracy, every type of government, you have advantages, you have disadvantages, you have things that work and things that doesn't work, especially if you're looking at, where you at and who you're dealing with and what is existing at the time. So I think for me, no form of government is foolproof.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that, except the government of the Most High. However,
Yeah.
we are stuck between a rock and a hard
And a
place.
hard place, okay.
And we know politicians have basically taken us from pillar to post. Basically talking about corruption, talking about these allegations. You spoke about accountability, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever heard anybody in St. Lucia go to jail or being asked to pay back or being held accountable for certain decisions that taxpayers had to pay money or waste money on? Have you ever heard that in our existence?
I think I've seen one or two things, maybe not jail, but I think we can say that there were times where probably people had to pay fines, or people, had to go to court to defend, their positions. I think
And
we've
what
seen,
happened?
but
Have-
no, they haven't gone to
was
jail.
There wrong?
They haven't gone to jail. I haven't seen that.
Okay, let me give you an example, right? Lotus,
Mhm.
the government calls you one day and say you've been audited, okay? And they call you in and they question you about your expenditure. They question you about everything to do with your life,
Mhm.
okay? And then if they deem that you in some way you've held back some money, they will charge you.
Mhm.
They can put you on a payment plan. They'll do
Of
anything
course,
like
yeah.
that, but they will charge you. Again, have you ever heard somebody being charged for something that they did on a government level or gone to jail? Because we have a lot of examples of people who have gone to jail for corruption. They go to court, you see the hearings, you hear the hearings, but we don't have that in our system. It's almost like in our Westminster system, this accountability is non-existent. Now, Westminster system, there's a group, I just can't remember the name of the group, but they said, okay, and I totally agree with it, because they were looking at Westminster systems in the Caribbean, and they happened to choose St. Lucia. I'll try and get that information for you, because I think I quoted it once to Brother Paul, that they were saying that Westminster system is loyal to its colonial masters. So basically, we just have a system that we're placed here. We can vote, yes, of course we can choose whoever we want, but at the end of the day, the real power, the real decisions, the way the world is moving is no longer, based on one country anymore. So a country cannot even decide, for example, look at things like climate change and all the expenses that they want to put us through just to try and save the planet. Yeah? For example, one of the things that they want us to do is get rid of organic farming and what they say, the cows and all of these things fatting too much, so it's releasing methane. But that whole idea is basically a theory, because there are different scientists who come and say, well, the earth is heating up, not because of human activity. So once again, like I said, we have a situation where, yes, we can vote, but the manipulation that goes on behind the scenes, the world bodies that tickle our government policymakers' ears and shift our country in directions that we, the people, don't know about. For example, your friend, what's his name, Mr. Steele, remember he was talking about Freedom of Information Act? If people knew when governments sign contracts and all of these types of things on a global level, what we have signed ourselves into, I don't think people will vote anymore. And I don't know if you noticed, Lotus and Brother Paul, what I call it, the voters turnout every year, not every year, sorry, every election year, I monitor it. It goes down, it goes down, and it goes down, and it goes down. So people have been losing confidence
And
in
that's what
politics.
we're going
And
to
you
be
know
talking
who I
about.
blame? I
as well.
blame us, because at the end of the day, we don't push the politicians where we want them to go. In other words, the politicians or the government has the power, not the people. Because we need to go back to the time when the people have the power and the government is in fear of the people. But we have it the other way around.
Was there ever such a time, Bukola?
I think there were, in certain parts of our history, there were such times where governments can be overthrown and governments, even kings will be beheaded and all kind of stuff like that. We had the revolution in France and all of these types of things.
But I do think, honestly, that people voting does push governments. It does impact a lot of things. I mean, you went into all kind of discussions that is really systematic in terms of the world. This discussion this morning is not going all the way there, but your individual vote and the fact that we can come together and exercise that franchise, I do think it has impacts on pushing governments and swaying things and helping to put policy in place.
But can I ask you a question? Have you seen, let's say, a better quality of life? Have you seen crimes go down? Have you seen, look at the way we drive on the road, almost no accountability. Nobody goes to jail for reckless driving or manslaughter. Remember the guy that killed 3 children?
But one of the things it's funny you saying all of that, because one of the things I want us to think of as well is that we have the power within ourselves as well to be accountable as citizens. It's not everything that is government driven or government related, in the sense that you also have to be accountable for your life. And so what is provided for you, you have to use that to your advantage and to make prudent decisions. So as well, when we talk about crime, and it's not everything, I think, that is directly related to the government. We as the citizenship need to take accountability for some of our personal actions.
One more question before you bump me off.
I will bump you
off. One more question. You spoke to the point of people not having the right to not speak if they don't vote. I've heard that a lot. Where people call a radio station. I think Apostle Paul, you have a famous one who calls from the U.S. and he says that you have a right to speak if you don't vote. I think not voting is your democratic right not to vote, because if you have 2 political parties that you don't have faith in and you see them as one in the same, although their policies might be slightly different, but the trajectory of the country, the indebtedness of the country, a lot of the taxation of the country, none of this is being addressed. So we have the same problems all the time. But when you look at the whole act of voting, when you give somebody power, let's say you have power for 1 day in 5 years, but the government has power for 5 years, 365 days by 5. So again, we don't see the level of interaction of our government when it comes to policy.
That's what we're gonna talk about a little bit again. But when I talk about you not having a voice, or somebody says you're not having a voice, the fact is, if you have 2 types of cake and you are given a choice to choose from a slice from each, if you don't want the cake, you will never know what's the taste of either. So it's more or less the fact that you are not taking part in. It's not that you don't have a voice. You have exercised your democratic right. You're right to say that. But the point is, if you did not choose the policy, you did not take part, you did not speak up, you did not go to the ballot box, why are you I don't know that I'm interested in your voice. You do have a right to speak, but I don't know that you have a right. I have to take what you're saying, because you just did not contribute to whether it's a removal of a government, whether it's a removal of a policy that doesn't work, whether it's it's your civic engagement. And I think that's what we have to talk about. We don't engage. You engage. I like that, but I think the act of voting speaks to your level of engagement as well. And that's my
Well,
position.
again, I don't think, like I said, even if I vote, I don't think my say will have let's say, any decision-making, policy-making if the country wants to go in a certain direction.
And that's the myth. That's the myth I want to debunk.
I don't think my vote adds to that.
That's
and at the end of the day, to a lot of people, when you look at low voter turnout, I think Jamaica had a 39% for the last election. That's very low.
And that's something our
20%.
governments have to take into consideration, because
Right, so
low voter turnout is an indication as well where it sways our government. And if you don't vote, as we continue the discussion, if you don't vote, you are also allowing certain policy that you yourself don't agree with.
No, but you see, again,
So your voice is not included. You are not
your
adding
voice-
to diminish it.
Your voice should always be included as long as you're willing to speak out. So as long as you're willing to say this is wrong, no matter which party it is, and you don't want to be part of the tribal warfare, because not everybody wants to be part of this, especially the way, the direction it goes in St. Lucia, the hatred, the people not talking to each other. This is not good for our country, Lotus. And like I said, just like a business, when you unite the people to move forward in leadership, when you involve the people, have referendums, have town hall meetings. Look at the last time we had constitutional reform. What did they do after they spent millions of dollars? What did they do with all the suggestions that was brought forth from the public, whether it be the power to recall and anything that takes away power from the government? What happened? Both parties teamed up, and guess what? They never even debated. They threw it out. So
Thank
tell
you
me,
so
is that
much.
democracy?
Thank you so much. I really
for your
appreciate this discussion.
All right.
Yeah, thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you. So
Okay. Have a nice day.
Good banter. But you see, that's what we want to talk about too. I like that because, we need to be pushing. We need to question things. We need to be able to discuss without insulting each other and without, all the name calling and everything like that. And I like the fact that even now, Andrea mentioned, we've seen an increase in the independent candidates. And that's a good thing in terms of people having various views, or people, willing to discuss new policy, that sort of thing. I like that as well. I have another call.
Yes, I'm sure you like that as well.
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Yeah, good morning, Lotus. But I agree with you. Like you say, people like that, you don't give these guys too much time because they don't have, like you say, he has a voice, like he said. But if you're not gonna vote, what you have to input, don't just listen to what's going on. Don't call and say nothing.
No, I think it's important for us to know why people are not voting as well, because it gives the populace an opportunity, and even our leaders, our politicians, they must listen to why there's low voter turnout. Because I'll tell you something, when people don't vote, it actually could really affect your decision as a voter, hoping to put the government you want in place or the policies you want in place. If people don't vote, it's like you having 10 people going out to vote, and 6 of them will swing one way, which is probably not the popular vote. You know what I mean? And when we look at history, the margins, when I look at the research, the margins in terms of voter turnout and what wins elections, sometimes it's a small margin, it's a small difference. So our voices are important. And when you listen to people who tell you they're not voting, I think it's really critical. We need to help them get to the other side of voting. So we don't want to ostracize people who, again, exercising their democratic right not to vote as well. We just want to convince them as to why they should. That's what the discussion should be, not to run behind them as well. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much. We have another call, Andre?
Yes, we do.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted. Tell me what the power of your voice and your vote is.
Good morning. Good morning, Lotus.
Good morning.
Morning.
When you don't vote, you give away your voice.
Okay.
Example, it's like a mother watching a child being hurt and saying nothing. Her silence doesn't stop the pain. It allows it to continue. I believe voting is almost like the same. Voting is how we speak up. for what's right.
That's right.
And protect what matters.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Let me just get the numbers again. The fixed line is 572-9710. Fixed line 572-9710, or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. I think we have another call.
We have another call?
Lotus, yes.
Wow.
The WhatsApp platform. This is Unrestricted with Lotus.
Hi, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, my friends. Good morning, Radio Land.
Good morning.
Good morning, Andre. Good morning, Lotus.
Good morning.
morning.
Thanks for calling.
It's a wonderful Wednesday.
Yes,
Thank God
it
I'm
is.
alive. I'm above ground. I'm amongst the living.
Yes, amen.
You have to make, you see the same way what I said there?
Mm-hmm.
You have to make somebody else believe there is hope. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, say, Lucia, if you listen to me for just at least less than 2 minutes, what it is about vote, people have to recognize what is it they call vote. Vote is something you do on one day that could make a better decision for either a religion that you choose. If it's red or yellow or blue or whatever it is, it makes a big significant change. Because as you said earlier, you see, both of them need a margin. I just don't like the idea when vote comes differently. When you're in a forum and there's a meeting and they take a vote, Lotus, and they take a vote, Andre, they take a vote, myself, we take a vote, what happens? Majority rule. Everybody put up their hand for my... So, to me, Lotus, that's how vote should be. At all times. I'll tell you why. In the US, there's no... Imagine, I say the US because you see them about spoiled ballots and these kind of things. That shouldn't be. They should change that, because in a forum, as I said in a meeting, how many goes for the yes, how many goes for the nay? So the majority win, right? But Lotus, there's no spoil vote there.
Well,
There's
it's
no
about
spoil vote.
Well, a spoil vote happens, caller, when we set certain parameters, and everything in life. When there's a rule, it just augurs better for the way things need to go. These things are sensitive. You see how emotional we get when there's a campaign season, or these things are very sensitive. So when you have people voting in a box, you there's a symbol, you have to put it in a box, there's certain things. Sometimes the people who go to vote, especially when you look at the literacy levels, capacity, disability, sometimes people make mistakes, and so these votes cannot be counted as a good vote if it's outside of the parameters. So I think
Okay.
it comes down to the aesthetics of things.
I understand that, but stick a pin there for me. The same way I'm in a wheelchair, okay, and the same way we're in a forum, we're voting. That's what I'm saying. So it is, as you said, probably they're analyzing the literacy and the who's, so at least they need to work on certain things. I get that, but I'm just saying vote is not always the same way. It's not always the same way. Anywhere you have to vote. Like for instance, in a meeting, elections time. Because when the CSA is voting, there's no spoil votes.
Well, I think what happens as we go further with technology, we will eradicate these things, because
Thank you.
if you have
because
some technological advancement where you can just go in, punch a button,
yes, it makes sense.
shine a
right?
light
Because
on
it
you and
makes
go
sense.
out, with AI, then we will
Good.
be able to eliminate that. But until then, we started everything from a manual perspective, and
It's true.
our technological movements are
there's-
slower
You're
in other
learning through
places.
the process and everything, and
Yeah.
then you could improvise and make changes. But Lotus, quickly, at the end of the day, you see what I'm talking about, right? Because if
Yeah.
1,000 people come and vote,
Yeah.
you're not getting 1,000. Like if everybody vote, you're not getting 1,000 vote either way. If it's 500 here, 500 there, you're not getting it. So
But
at
I
the
think-
end of the day, they need to change the mechanism.
Yes, I
need
agree
to
with
change
that.
the mechanism.
But when you look at statistics, I mean, and I really like our statistics, our the guy who comes and talk about how to vote and these kind of things. It's really good, because I think they've made changes, small changes, and if you look at the number of spoiled ballots compared to the number of people who voted right, I don't think it's a wide margin. I think we would complain about that if we had 500 votes and 100 spoiled. You know what I mean? So I don't know it's as
quickly,
wide.
Lucas. Quickly, Lutus, on the other side, quickly. I was just saying, when it comes to people who say, oh, both parties are the same, is the same. No, they may have the same agenda. Listen to me, they may have the same agenda, meaning that they want to form the government. But it's, for instance, we in Castries, and the Labour Party is telling you, okay, let's go through the East Coast Road. And the Flubber will tell you, no, it's a better way to go through the West Coast Road. But both of them want to go to Viewfort. You understand?
Yeah.
So because everybody can't be the same, everybody is different. You understand? They may have the same agenda, as I say, but there's always a better evil.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much, caller. Thank you.
That's interesting. There's always a better evil.
Yes, I'm really enjoying the calls this morning. I let me go quickly to say that the power of an individual vote, right? One of the things it does is decisive margins. Many elections, especially at the local and state levels, are decided by razor thin margins, and that's what we're talking about. Sometimes you have to go vote, sometimes just a handful or even a single vote. For example, in 2000 in the US presidential elections hinged on the results in Florida, which George W. Bush won by just 537 votes out of nearly 6 million votes that was cast. So you see, your voice is necessary. I know that some people say, my vote won't matter. I'm just an individual. But we have margins, and you can close gaps, and you can actually push somebody that you really don't want to win over the top just by your single vote.
You have another call.
I have another call.
Hello, good morning.
This is
morning.
Unrestricted.
Welcome to Unrestricted.
Morning, Lucas. Morning, Andre.
Morning.
I have a question. I have voted in the last 5 elections.
Uh-huh.
Yeah? And what if this election I don't like my option? What if I don't like my options? It's almost like, I don't want to go to the polls this year because I don't like my options. You understand? It's almost like people are asking me, forcing me, you have to make a decision. I'm like, don't force me to go to the candy shop and tell me to buy the lollipop or the bubble gum when in the end it's not candy I want. You understand?
My friend,
So what do I do?
here's how Pope Francis, the late Pope Francis, put it. Vote for the lesser of the two evils.
And I knew you would have said that. There's no lesser of two evils there.
You heard
For the last time, and what I've been voting for over the last couple of years, I'm just not getting what I expect, especially when it comes to the St. Jude Hospital.
But did you hear what the caller before you said? Did you hear what the caller before you said? He said, vote for the better of the two evils.
I rather go to work and pretend like there's not even an election.
So caller, let me ask you a question.
And I understand people have died for that right, but I just don't like my option.
So caller, let me ask you a question. Since you don't like your options, right? You should be okay with whatever you get. Is it fair to say that?
Well, yeah. This time around, if I'm not voting here, whatever happens after, I can't say a word. I just have to take whatever I get. That's fine.
All right. Okay,
but
then.
anyway, thank you for my call.
Thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, but I understand where he's coming from, Lotus. Just think about it. Just think about it, right? You're a voter and you have two candidates or parties. The leader of each party, right, is involved in killing children. Both of them doing the same thing.
Oh my God.
What are you going to do?
Andre.
And you don't want to support those two.
That's an extreme.
No, but it's happening in the world.
You're right.
It's happening.
But what I'm
not
saying
necessarily
right now, we're talking about your choice, and you're right. And I think in these countries as well, people don't vote. Some people do not vote. And
they just say,
and in some countries,
I'm going to sit this one out.
They are fined and even forced to vote. You understand?
Yeah.
So
let me ask you something else.
What you're talking about.
What about at the United Nations, where voting is really, really crucial? The United Nations. And the last vote that they took on stopping or ending the embargo against Cuba, quite a few countries abstained.
Yes.
They didn't vote.
That's right.
So we should get on their case as well and say you should be voting no matter what.
Well, of course. And the way things like that happen is, of course, through all kind of bullying and all kind of discussion and so these are different grounds, different environments where the votes, of course, can be manipulated, and I'm sure in everything else votes are manipulated.
But the point I'm making is that we don't get upset at those countries for abstaining, but we're going to get upset when a solution decides to abstain.
Well, I guess it's probably it's the same thing, Andre.
Yeah.
But it's a different discussion in terms of the components. So it's the same thing, I guess, when you really think about it. But that's why we discuss, and that's why we try to see, why we should, or if you are abstaining, let's hear your argument for abstaining. And see if we can understand where you're coming from.
I just gave you an argument a while ago.
Yes, I understand. We have another call?
No, listen, let me just give the numbers again. It's a very good, very interesting discussion. The fixed line is 572-9710, 572-9710, or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. The WhatsApp platform, it is 287-0971. So the lines are open.
That's right.
This is Unrestricted with Lotus until 10 o'clock.
So the power of an individual vote also influence, like we said, policy and resource allocation. So you do have a voice in shaping policies, shaping resource allocations. And I really want to run into the civic engagement, because I think that's one of the things we don't do in St. Lucia. We don't have enough community meetings. We don't go to the meetings. But a lot of us can say a lot of things when it's time for elections. Our mouths are the loudest, biggest. But when we have meetings, Andre, we don't go. And even when we go to the meetings, we don't say anything.
You have a caller who's going to say something? For sure.
I like that. Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Good morning, everyone.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning, Lucas. Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'm a bus driver from Grosley bus stand there. M111.
Welcome.
Yeah. The voting policy, we have a lot of colonization in this country where that I see that people want to hold you as hostage because you're supporting them and you don't want to give them the, to vote for them. And to me, I find that is totally wrong.
Yes, it is.
Right? So right now, I see something happening in Burkina Faso there. A guy they call Abraham Share. This guy won this country by a coup, right? And I mean, he didn't vote, right? But a coup, because you see the kind of corruption was going on in his country.
That's right.
And today, the guy is not he said that he's not a politician. He's a militant soldier, you see? And he's doing well for his country. Because there's so much corruption going on there right now, where you see that the people they take away people land, false paper and all kind of thing. And the man bring back all that to his court, and he tell him, well, the person have a right to get back the land. You see? And this is the reason why I see that when you see you voting, you don't have to know who you're voting for.
Well, it is a private affair.
Yeah. You see? So the voting situation, I don't mind, but I'll vote. I'll cast my vote.
Yes.
But I don't depend on politicians for what I need. I depend on the Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Because my help comes from the Lord who's made heaven and earth. You know what I mean? So
all right.
I don't really put trust in man. I put trust in the Lord. And now I test in a man instead I put a trust in him. Because the good book says you have to test the spirit. And that's what normally I does,
So, sir, you don't vote?
I cast my vote, but I put in trust, because they will fail you.
Okay.
But when you vote, you're putting your trust in a human being.
In the system, yeah. Well, you're giving the system a chance.
Yeah, I give the system a chance. Yeah.
Why did you answer for the gentleman?
No, but that's what he. But
anyway,
he said. Yes, thank you, caller.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Okay.
But what he's saying is that he does not trust. He doesn't trust man, but the system of voting is there. So he's taken part in it, but his trust comes from the Lord Jesus Christ. That's what he said. So I just kind of
assisted him.
Yes, assisted him. And I earlier we were talking about accountability, and I think my first caller was saying, we don't see any accountability, but I think there is a shift in accountability. I think the fact that we hold, and I was saying just before that when we have public meetings or we have community meetings, we need to go. What is your responsibility as a citizen so that you go and you speak about the things that affect you?
I agree.
And you give your opinions. These people need to take that back, because at the end of the day, if your parliamentary representative have those meetings and he receive those complaints and he does nothing, then you can say you had a voice and he didn't do anything, so you will not vote for him the second time around. You know what I mean?
So you have two calls.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Hi, good morning.
Hi.
Good morning.
What happened if they go and put the leaders and take them out? Isn't that the say?
Well, I guess.
Yes, because that's what that's the
Well, people say that, but is that a fact?
Yes, because that's what they say. But I still feel if you're in a country, you want to see you know what's going on, you advocate, you speak out, your only means is to vote. How can you say you're in a country you don't believe in nothing, but then you want the country to run? How is the country going to run? Somebody has to run the country. So
That's
I'm
right.
not saying you have to put all your trust, but someone has to be leading the country to provide the country with all the necessary things that it needs.
That's right.
So you cannot be sitting and saying that you're not going to vote.
Well, what they're saying is that you will do it. Somebody else will do it, not necessarily them.
Yeah, but then why speak out sometimes if you
Because I'll tell you why. When governments do a survey to find out who didn't vote, and then they say all of you are exempt from paying taxes, then those people shouldn't talk.
Yes.
You want all the services that you give, and you want everything. You want tax remove, you want this, you want better roads, you want...
We have to be realistic.
No,
yes.
but caller, you have to... the people who do not vote pay taxes.
Yeah, but the truth...
So to me, that gives you a right to speak. Huh? To me, the fact that you're paying taxes, that gives you the right to speak. Don't you think so, Lotus?
Well, you don't have a choice in your payment of your taxes.
But that's what I'm saying.
If you
So
fall
they
in a
shouldn't-
particular bracket, right? You don't have a choice.
There's also a thing that some people don't even pay tax because according to your salary.
The voting is a choice.
Yes, you think. I just feel you have a right. You speak out because you just, as they say, they're community meetings, they're this meeting.
That's right.
You don't like something, you speak
You
out.
speak about
a
it, that's right.
minister is on the radio, you call and you speak out also. You make your voice be heard. If you don't want your voice to be heard, you don't want to speak out, you're going to stay and grumble and quarrel and say all kinds of things. You're not making sense because you didn't make that choice to say, look, I don't want you. I don't like what you are doing. You are not taking you didn't make that choice.
Thank
so
you.
Don't say anything.
That's right. Thank you, caller.
Okay.
Sure.
Alrighty. You have another call?
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day.
We are. What about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Very interesting topic. You know, I get excited when elections come around, no matter where it is.
Oh,
I live
yes.
in the U.S. and
Okay.
I get excited about it.
That's
I've always been politically inclined. You know.
Give us your 2 cents.
My topic here is basically on something that you were talking about in terms of town hall meetings. Okay. To me, those are not really town hall meetings, and here's why I'm saying that. Right? When the SLP who were just in power, when they were calling a town hall meeting, everyone at the town hall meeting is wearing red. Right? So if you are a UWP supporter or just a neutral person, right? You are intimidated to go to that meeting because you're gonna be scared to get up and voice your opinion on an issue that matters to
That's
you.
a good point.
But that's a campaign meeting. I'm talking about, when I talk about civic engagement, we're not talking about political meetings. We're talking about community meetings that have nothing to do with elections or you know, the campaign of anything that's going on. We do have meetings.
Do you have that in St. Lucia?
Yes, we do. Yes, I have attended 1 or 2 community meetings that had nothing to do with elections. If there's an issue in the community, for instance, there's an increase in maybe carjackings or something, and the parliamentary representative decided to have a community meeting. So we all go to the meeting. We have a president of our community association. I live in a community. He's doing a very good job. So you know what's happening. There are carjackings. So everybody come together. Nobody's coming with any colors. We were talking about the carjackings in our neighborhood and what we're going to do about it. So I'm talking about the fact that if you do that in terms of community meeting, your civic engagement does drive you to communicate with your parliamentary representative, so he knows what's affecting the people, and if he can effect change, it then leads these people to trust him or to to put him on a side when election time comes around. So I'm just talking about
Okay.
us having a say in policy, us having a say in the way we live and taking accountability for our own lives within our communities.
Okay, so yes, I agree. I agree with that because, like, if you're saying you've attended, but what I'm saying is when I look at what they call town halls, they're not really town halls to me.
But I agree
because
with you. I agree with you on that.
What you have is a minister who gets there and he's basically talking about his party's policies instead of basically in his capacity as a government official. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
Whereby everyone is supposed to go to that meeting, like they do here in the U.S. My district representative, if they announce there's a town hall, whether I'm a Democrat or Republican or whatever, everyone goes to that meeting and are able to voice their opinion. They're given a chance to get up on the mic and ask questions to that district representative.
That's right.
What I'm saying is that I cannot differentiate sometimes whether it's really a town hall meeting. Sometimes they're discussing issues that affect everybody. But they're talking in their capacity more as a party official as compared to a government official, and that's where I would like to see. To see a distinction, a change between the two, where everybody can feel like, I can go to that meeting and it's not about red or yellow or whatever.
Yes,
I am going to voice my opinion.
I agree.
to my member of parliament to let them know of the things that are affecting me.
And caller, that's a significant point you're making, because we need a paradigm shift. This is something that will not even have happen overnight, because over time we've seen all kind of doctrines come up where if you're not part of a party, you don't get the assistance, or you don't get attention, you don't have an opinion, that kind of thing. So we have to shift from that altogether, so that we are not divided just because of a color, but more we can come together when we look at policy and how it affects all of us as a people. Yeah.
Exactly, because like I said, you have people that are not into a party like that. They're more neutral. That's why you see more and more. You've seen. Excuse me. You've seen more and more independent candidates are popping up, and you're gonna see more and more. But the problem I have is when these guys are in the opposition, and both parties do it. They complain about everything and whatnot, but then when they get in, they use the very same little loopholes to get away with the very same things they're complaining about when they're in the opposition. And that's why I'm saying people need to get there at those meetings and demand those changes.
That's right. And then we do that for our votes as well.
Exactly. So the country then benefits from that pressure that you're putting on them, and so they don't think. Look, as you're going to see as the election is there, everybody's humble, everybody's trying to get you to to cast their vote. But as soon as they get elected, it's like those guys feels like they're kings and queens, like no one can touch them.
That's right.
Yeah. And as a result, the country suffers. We're not growing in the way that we're supposed to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so have a good day. You have another call.
Hello, good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Good morning, Lotus. Good morning,
Good
Andrew.
morning.
Hello there. Good morning.
Teacher Jean?
Yes.
I'm just trying to will answer your question. One, you said, will you vote? Yes, I will. Why? And why do you think? Now, there are lots of reasons. In every group or organization, there is a leader.
Yes.
You must elect a leader, or else what will happen to the organization?
That's right.
What will happen to the family if there is not a leader? What will happen to the church if there is not a leader? In every organization, every group, you need a leader. And so I feel the country needs a leader.
That's right.
All right? So we cannot just see, if everybody say, well, we're not voting, who will be the leader? You must put someone in place. Now, I heard somebody talk about God. The Bible also said, render to, it says, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Somebody saying they do not, like they believe in God and they do not want to vote. Because the Bible never said anybody not to vote. Because it also says, render to Caesar what is Caesar's.
Yes.
Now, we're talking about
Teacher Jane, remember when that statement was made, it was talking about taxes.
Yes.
That's the
it is
context.
taxes and it is government. It is still pertaining to government.
No. But the context is very, very important.
Context is important, Andre,
Yes, at the
but
time.
taxes you can only organize taxes under a certain structure, and structure comes from government. So I think that's what she's trying to.
No. We're talking about voting.
So, yeah, we're talking
But
about
it is
voting,
still
but we're
the
talking
same.
about government, Andre.
Government.
So she said, I don't think she's negating the fact that taxes, that that what you're talking about there in terms of taxes, but it goes down to the same thing if you really do the hierarchy. You put it in place, Andre.
Yes.
You must
Taxes
vote
for
to end up,
government. Voting is to put in a government.
Yeah.
It comes to the same, even if it doesn't say that word or that it was at the time it was speaking in the scripture. They were talking about paying taxes and so on. But I am just putting it there. It's the same as putting in government in place.
No.
And another thing I'm talking about, I
Disagree.
would say, you disagree, man.
No,
Okay.
disagree.
All right.
Context.
And another thing I was saying, people say they are all the same. They all have they are all not good or whatever how they will put it. So I would say, make a choice. Look at they are all evil. Let's just look for the lesser evil.
No boy. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
For the lesser evil in them.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
But I would advise everybody people to vote and put whoever you think is right for the country to run the country, because we need a leader.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have another call.
Hello. Good morning. Welcome to Unrestricted.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. Very interesting topic this morning.
Thank you.
Yes. I just wanted to voice my 2 cents and a little bit contrary. Personally, I am not going to be exercising my right to vote.
Okay.
Yes. Historically, I think I've voted at least 5 times. And I'm from a community, which I'm not going to disclose it anyways, 'cause I don't think it's relevant. But my community, my district, I feel like I voted both sides, both parties, because we mainly have 2 colors, 2 parties down there. And in my opinion, we're simply voting for the lesser evils most times. I'm from a community where red is in power, nothing happens. When I say nothing, I mean there's just the basics happen. Road maintenance, which no politician, contrary to what they say, should even be taking credit for road maintenance or building a roads when the populace are paying taxes for this to be done. But what I mean by nothing is done, there's no infrastructure, no new infrastructure over the last 20 years. Right? There is no engagement with the public. Like, hey, we in the town hall meeting like you were speaking of a while ago. What do you guys need? Or here's an issue. Nothing. Our rep gets elected and then he or she, well, we've never had a she, but he disappears for 4 years, 4.5 years, and then afterwards they come back to your home, they ask you to vote for them. But my thing is that why should I vote for you? From my vantage point, all we're voting for is to give you a nice, comfortable salary for 4 years.
And caller, that's why we speak of part of your civic engagement would be exercising some advocacy and awareness, where you can write letters, you can start petitions, and you can raise awareness on certain things. And I think that's why what happens to a lot of us, we sit, we don't say anything, we don't vote, we don't speak out, we don't protest, we don't ask questions, we don't push, because we have a society of just sitting and accepting things.
Yes. But in that regard, I would love to have a town hall meeting with their rep. But the thing is that in order for you to give pressure at a town hall meeting, you must first have the town hall meeting.
Yes, but you can advocate for it as well.
You never see it.
You can advocate for it.
How can you even ask for a town hall meeting?
But you can advocate for it. Let me tell you something. Many things have happened. If you continue to write, if you continue to push, all of a sudden you see somebody out of a job or out of, a particular position. Because if nothing is happening or nothing is being said, somebody will say you're the only person with the problem. But if you go about and you have your constituents to sign a petition, I'm sure your rep will listen. I'm sure of it.
Possibly.
No,
but
no,
I
no,
believe
no. That's what it is. If St. Lucians began to sign, if we began, we all of us came together and we start signing petitions, and this is a way to speak up. This is a way to speak up as well. And there's power in numbers, right? That's why your vote matters.
Yes. The other thing, I believe these politicians can get away with such things as in underrepresenting certain communities.
Okay.
It's because we have that culture down there of flabo moye, leba moye, namo flabo. When you have thousands of people who are ready to go to the polls no matter what and keep voting for the same people over and over, politicians will capitalize on that.
Okay.
And I wanted to touch on one last point before I another person. Andre spoke of, I think in reference, I cannot recall which book of the Bible, when Jesus was, well, the approach, the backstory is that when he was asked a question about the taxes, it was a trap, because had he said, don't pay taxes, he would have been in hot water. Had he said to pay taxes, he would have been in hot water. But Jesus, being the all-knowing that he was, he says, give unto Caesar what is due unto Caesar. He was not only speaking of taxes, because he also went on to say, give unto the Lord what is due to the Lord. That statement in itself, the Bible cannot be put into a certain time frame. Jesus also said it in other books of the Bible that we respect authority. If politics and religion are separate, he also said to respect persons in authority. Respect your prime minister, regardless of whether he's Labour or Flabo, but respect and give the Lord what is due unto him. So it was not only about taxes; it was about everything.
Okay.
Well, the thing is that the caller was making a connection between Jesus saying, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, meaning, in her interpretation, I think that's what she's saying, well, that means we are supposed to vote. And I was saying Jesus Christ was talking about taxes in that context, not about voting.
One thing, Andrew, I think I called last week and I mentioned it, the WhatsApp platform. When you speak, the call cuts in and out. I'm not sure if anyone has mentioned it. So
what happened?
Yeah, when I speak, sometimes I don't hear any breaking up or anything. But when Lotus speaks or when you speak, anybody who's on air, we don't hear.
Oh,
so it had, I catch snippets of what Lotus said, and
okay.
And then Andre, I heard you give a rebuttal,
Thanks.
but I did not hear what you said.
Okay,
so
thanks
maybe
for
something we should look into.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Caller.
Alrighty, I guess you didn't hear that either.
Yeah.
What we said. Okay, thank you very much. We'll certainly work on that.
Oh boy,
okay, Lotus, we have to.
So fast.
We have to wrap up.
It was such an exciting. I think I will bring it back closer to elections
time.
because I just think it's
with a
something
twist,
that we
of
need
course,
to talk
with a
about.
twist.
Yeah, with a twist. We have some other things, the reason for voting and why, if you don't vote, what could happen. I think we need to delve in that a little bit because I think people really like how we start talking about our civic engagement. So it's things we can expand on. But thank you so much. I believe that you should vote, Andre. I believe in the power of your voice and the power of your vote. I think it was 2011 when Alvina Reynolds won by 2 votes. She won in Babono. So here's the power of your vote.
But the thing is, Lotus, the person who didn't vote, right, didn't want her to win. So they just
you
don't
never
vote.
know.
Maybe
they wanted her to win.
Because if they had voted, right, then that person probably would be the person.
We're talking about the margin, Andre. If by 2 votes, Andre, it could have meant that you wanted her, you didn't go, she won. But if you didn't want her, you and I did not vote. That could have been a tie, or we could have pushed her out of the race altogether. So I'm saying there's power in your voice and there's power in your vote.
Alrighty, Lotus.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, listeners, callers. I really appreciate it. I loved it. I enjoyed the show, and maybe we'll revisit this closer to
Election Day.
Election Day.
By the way, it's Monday, the 1st of December. Just in case you didn't know.
Yes, I know. Thank you, Andre. Thank you. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lotus, as always, for your service. Certainly do appreciate that. This has been Unrestricted, heard and seen on Rev-Up Slu every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So join Lotus again next week, Wednesday, God willing, for another Unrestricted. Now we're standing by to bring you Mind Matters with Dr. Julius Gilead. That's coming up next, so please stand by for that. Those of you on Facebook, YouTube, and X, we'll just take a little break and get back to you as soon as you're ready with Mind Matters.